Hi there. Happy Thursday, everyone. I'm going to hit this button and we should be live. Here we go. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really happy to tell you that I have a wonderful guest here with me, Nicole Brooks, and she's an author. Ooh, got a little glare there. Let's do it like that. She's an author that I just recently discovered, and I'm so glad I did because I loved her book. Um, Thanks for coming on with me today, Nicole. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
This is going to be a fun discussion, I know, because you have such an interesting background. And I looked at I have to confess, I haven't read your other books because I just was able to discover you. And I discovered her actually in two ways. First of all, I got a box, some of you probably saw my video, that came from Blackstone. They're such lovely people, they are so generous.
I mean, they've been the best.
Every once in a while these boxes just land on my doorstep and I'm like, what, more books? And so this was one of the books that was in the box that I got. I don't even remember when it was. I was trying to calculate how many weeks. I don't know. But I was just intrigued with it when I took it out of the box and I started. Well, first I looked at the cover, and that is a fabulous cover. Look at that. And I started reading the synopsis, and I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. And then Tanya, our wonderful thriller book lovers, The Pulse group leader, you guys, if you are not following her and our group, you got to do it. She's Tanya. I think her handle is Blonde Thriller Lover. I will tag her as well. She reached out and said, hey, would you like to read the book, participate in our tour? I said, absolutely, because I've already got the book sitting right here. And then I started reading and I couldn't put it down. So I'm so glad that I found you. And I have every intention of going back and reading your other books. It's just a matter of time. And I'm sure you can relate to that
Yes.
because the books just keep coming.
They
So,
do.
anyway, Nicole, you are Canadian. Is that correct?
I am.
Tell me about now, did you grow up in Canada?
Yes,
Okay, tell me about growing up in Canada and what you did as a kid in terms of reading. Were you a big reader?
I was. Yeah. Um, well, I loved growing up in Canada. I'm from Alberta, actually. So, and I was lived here my whole life, born and raised here. And it's a beautiful province. We are a little malaligned with some of the eastern provinces, but they because we are a heavy oil and gas province, so kind
Oh, I
of
see.
we get kind of likened to the Texas of the states, but
I
it's
see.
it's a beautiful province, and honestly the people here are lovely. You have to just come visit and you'll find out. We are not a bunch of rednecks. I know so many writers. The arts and culture is really big in Alberta. So
Okay. And growing up there, what kind of town or area did you live in? Was it rural or a big city?
yeah, it was. I grew up in central Alberta. I grew up in a town, but it was very rural. So like the town I was born in was only 700 people, and then the
Mm.
town I moved to in grade 5 was only 1,200 people. So
Oh, wow, that is
yeah.
tiny.
So there was the farm kids versus town kids, and I was just the town kid. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
I was born in a town of about 12 to 1,500 people, depending on what year you look at. And we used to go visit. So I didn't live there very long. I was only 6 months old when we moved, but I
right,
kind of get that ruralish kind of feeling. It's not
right,
far before you're outside of town.
yes,
Did
and
you have a library?
yes,
And were you a big reader? Were you
that's
hanging out there a
all.
lot?
Back in the days, you do. I did not know anyone that actually owned books. That's all. If you wanted to read, you went to the library. That
Yeah.
was that was it. So I lived there. Um, I think, and I went. I think by 10 or 11 or 12, I was a hardcore Stephen King reader. So
Oh, wow.
that explains a lot about me. So
Yeah,
I started with Christopher Pike, and then I quickly went into Stephen King, and I didn't come out for years.
I'm with you. I read all of his early stuff.
All
That
of
was
it.
a big deal when I was in high school. I remember we were all reading The Stand.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything. Carrie, Christine is one of my favorites. Pet
Pet
Cemetery.
Cemetery.
Yeah, Salem's
Oh,
Lot. I have a thing for
Pet Cemetery
vampires.
gave me nightmares. Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
I was just talking to my daughter about the scene where 𝐍𝐤𝐜𝐿 cuts the Achilles tendon of the old guy, and she was like, "Ugh."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ugh. What was the other one? Oh, Firestarter.
Yes.
I still can't turn on the garbage disposal without thinking about Firestarter to this day.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Oh, don't go back and look. Gives me the heebie-jeebies. Anybody that's read the book, you know what the scene I'm talking about.
Right.
Anyway, so that's where your love of reading started. Did you always want to write?
No, actually. I mean, in hindsight now, I did write in high school, the brooding teenage poetry. Like I did all that. And
Yeah.
in grade 12, I do remember a teacher reading a short story I read out in front of the class, and I was mortified. But then I decided I wanted to go into science. So no, I never actually wanted to be a writer, which,
Wow.
yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you went to college. Now you have to explain your scientific background because I'm not quite, I read your bio, but I didn't quite understand it. So tell us a little bit about what you majored in and what you did with that major.
So I ended up with a Bachelor of Environmental Science from the University of Calgary. So I had to go to, I left my little small town. I had to go to college in a medium-sized town called Red Deer. And then I transferred to the University of Calgary, and that's where I finished my degree. Back then, it was actually a brand new program because this was 1999. And so I was only the second grad year of environmental science.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it was brand new. Since there's lots of oil and gas in Alberta, I kind of thought maybe that's where I was going to end up, but I didn't. I ended up in commercial industrial contamination. So, yeah. So we used to do assessments on gas stations, dry cleaners. Like I'd go in and test the soil and water, and then if we found it contaminated, I'd run a crew of men with excavators and
wow,
26-year-old me. And we'd clean them, dig up all the soil and clean them up. And
that's really interesting because we had a big case here in town where the dry cleaner for years and years and years had been pouring the stuff.
Yep, that's exactly.
And there was a big lawsuit, and I don't remember all the details, but it was in the water underneath.
Yeah.
The groundwater, is that the right term?
Yeah, because the dry cleaners used to dump those barrels of, it was called perchloroethylene, and they used to dump it out the back door, and that is a very heavy compound. So it just travels down the soil column until it hits the bedrock, and then it just sits in the groundwater. So then wherever the groundwater goes, it goes. So it can go like down, 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 and then it just travels it can travel for kilometers.
Wow. Well, so nobody thought anything of it in those days, right?
No one ever. And yeah, hindsight, like I feel bad. I always felt bad for those business owners because all of a sudden the regulations changed, or they wanted to renew their mortgage, and then their bank is like, oh, you need to do some environmental work, and then they're looking at $1 million bill. Way back then, it's probably even, and they had nothing.
Right.
So, no such thing as grandfathering because you're polluting downstream users. So like someone has to be responsible. Yeah. So it wasn't always a warm and fuzzy job, to be honest.
I bet.
Yeah.
So how many years did you do that work?
I did it full-time for 5, and then I had my first daughter, and then I kind of did part-time and then consulting. And then by the time I had my second daughter, about 4 years, I did kind of part-time consulting, and then I quit full-time. I quit completely.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Do you think it's something you'll ever go back to, or are you done?
Yeah. That was the problem. It wasn't an easy job to do part-time. Yeah. And the regulations change and stuff, and I just got too out of the loop.
Right. You have to keep up with it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Kind of like the law. I mean, if I went back now, I haven't practiced law in almost 5 years. There'd be stuff I'd have to bone up on because regulations, procedures, they all change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
makes sense. So when did this writing bug hit?
Probably about, I always say like about 10 years ago or 11 years ago, I started. The dramatic reason was because I ended up being kind of depressed when my kids were little. So I started doing stream of conscious journaling.
Oh, I see.
And I found out that I'm way better at getting out my feelings on paper than I am in speech.
Mm-hmm.
And that just, the demon was born because it was, I couldn't stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so that just kind of, the journaling kind of turned into like a little bit of a nonfiction book I wrote, and then like that never. And then I was like, I've always been such an avid reader. I was like, maybe I should write a book. And I mean, blessed are the ignorant, right? Like, because you have to really kind of have that mindset to write your first book. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just do it. And then I did it. Obviously it's a long road from there, but, and I think
Well,
I wanted some.
tell us a little bit about that road, the road from, oh, maybe I'll write a book to you actually are getting a book published.
That
People always want to hear those stories.
Oh, it was so long. It was such a long road. It took me in total 9 years from writing those first kind of few rough drafts to traditionally published was 9 years. So you have to really, I didn't know what else I was going to do. I wanted something to do when my kids were gone, like, because I let the environmental career go. And I'm like, I don't, once they're grown, I have to have something to do. I'm way too much of a busybody. And I had to have something. And I didn't want to go back to the career because I still wanted to stay home with the kids. Like, even now, I say kids, but they are turning 19 and 21 in a week. And they still live at home. And I'm still like a stay-at-home mom to them. So
Yeah.
I
get it.
And they can
I say kids, and mine are in their 30s.
Yeah, right. They're both going to post-secondary and living at home, and it's more like a roommate's friend's situation than parenting, but I still like being here for them all the time. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they like having you there.
Right. You should ask them that, but maybe, hopefully.
I know they really do deep down inside, even though they don't act like it a lot of times.
Right.
They do. Like when mine were teenagers, they didn't want anything to do with us, of course. They were in their rooms all the time, and I used to jokingly tell people if they had a bathroom and a refrigerator in there, I would literally never see them.
Yeah.
But, they wanted to come out to forage through the refrigerator and know that, you were there when they wanted you to be there. They're kind of like cats. They want to talk to you when they want to talk to you, not when you how a cat will sidle up and they want you to pet them and they start purring and you're like, I'm busy, I can't do it right now. Too bad, they want it now.
Right.
That's the way my teenagers were, it's kind of like, mom, what?
They are girls, so like they've always been pretty mom attached. So yeah. But yeah, it's good. It's all good actually. So I never quit. I don't know. I guess I just needed something that bad. And I am a Taurus. So I feel like that is always really like explains a lot about me.
Oh, okay. I don't know what, I'm not a big astrology person. So what does that mean?
We're very stubborn.
Oh.
The bull.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, the bull. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
See?
Enough said.
Yeah. Anyhow.
That's funny. So lots of queries, lots of no thank yous.
So I can't even, I don't even, it's unfathomable how many. I queried 6 manuscripts.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't very good at like sitting with the same manuscript for a long time and tweaking it forever. I'm always kind of a what's next kind of person. So like, that's why I queried so many, because I would write a new one, get it edited, be super excited, take it out, fail, write a new one, take it out. So it just took me that long.
So which manuscript was the first published book?
Of my self-published or the traditionally published?
Oh, well, let's go back. So you initially self-published?
Yes. My first book, I didn't even query at all because I just didn't think I had the heart for it. I was too delicate and sensitive. And so I just self-published it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
So
then
which manuscript, was that your first manuscript or was that a few in?
that was the first one.
Oh, okay.
But I did have it professionally edited by several people. So I guess it did okay. It was okay, I guess. It's looking back, I still love that book, but it's definitely, I've definitely improved since then. And it was women's fiction. Not that that matters, but just a different genre.
Right. So No Higher Ground, which is the one that you've most recently published.
Yeah.
Now this is with Blackstone. So was it Blackstone that you finally landed with as far as a traditional publishing company?
Yes.
And this is the first traditionally published book?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because I saw your books there, but I didn't go back and look at who published them. So I see. So you self-published 3 books, is that correct?
3, yeah.
Okay. And do you have them?
I do.
There?
They're on a shelf on the other side of the camera.
Oh, okay. Well, tell folks the titles and just a little bit about what each one is about.
The first one was Just Because We Can, and it was quite directly related to my environmental science career. So it was about a lady who, or a woman who was an environmental scientist. And yeah, she ends up going, she's from Calgary, but she ends up getting sent to Thailand to do work on a garbage dump.
Ooh, interesting.
So it's a little, that one was a little woo-woo because I was kind of into like, you know, Buddhism and that kind of stuff then. So it was, it's, yeah, I still love that book though. There's some really good characters in it. So, but that, and then my second one was called Cake. And it was a multi-POV between 2 women and their 2 daughters. So there's 4 POVs. And it's kind of a love triangle between the 2 women and the husband. But there's, the themes are about identity and stuff.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah. And kind of like the obsession with fitness and stuff. And so that one, because I published that one in 2019. So the first one was 2018 and then 2019.
Okay.
And then I paused because I really wanted to get traditionally published. So I worked and worked and worked and worked towards, and then queried a bunch more manuscripts and failed. And then I had one book that I loved, and that one was called Watch What She Can Do. And it's kind of a middle, like a late in life coming of age for a lady, and it's kind of like a Thelma and Louise reimagined. Yeah, it actually starts, that book starts with her not calling 911 for her husband who's having a heart attack. So I get a lot of, oh really?
That's kind of dark.
Kind of dark. It's very fun though. It starts dark, but it's the 2 best friends are very fun though.
Well, that sounds like a good time.
Yeah, and I actually self-published that one last March in, no, 2 years ago. Maybe it was March of 2024.
Sounds like a beach read.
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was. That one is very, very fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Little darkness, but.
So that brings us to.
Yes.
All right, now tell us the inspiration for this book, because one of the things that drew me to this book, you know, nobody wants to read the same old story over and over. I read the synopsis and I went, this doesn't sound like anything I've ever read. So what was the inspiration? It's shiny. There we go. And how did you come up with this story?
First of all, that's very flattering to hear because I was trying to go for something totally new.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you did it.
So that story started as the main character, Raven, and her family is kind of a personal story to me because a lot of it reflects my childhood. And I had at first had them stuck in a 100-car pileup on a blizzard. So this book has changed a lot since I first started it. And then, so I worked with a company because I only wanted to query one more time. I only had one more round in me and I knew I was done. It's way too emotionally draining. And it's just, yeah, that having 500, 600, 700 no's it's too much for one person. But so I figured that book out, and they said I had to move them because there was too many people also in the 100-car pileup that could help Raven. Like she needed to be isolated with Joan in a situation where there was no one was going to save her, because she was always looking for someone to save her. So I just thought and thought and thought, and I'm like, how I didn't want to just put them in a car crash in a snowy ditch by themselves, because I feel like that's been done before, like Hello Misery, right?
Yeah.
Right. And they've done it very well. So
speaking of Stephen King,
yeah. And so I just thought, and then I remembered, I don't know why I remembered it one day, but in 2013 in Alberta, we had a 100-year flood in southern Alberta. So it was in June, and it was we had a bunch of snow that winter in the mountains, because the Rocky Mountains are just west of here. And it rained and rained and rained on top of the snow, and it just started flooding, and it was insane. I live 50 minutes east of Calgary, so I wasn't in the flood, but like we saw it everywhere. And then we actually went down and helped a couple families in the town of High River, which was like really devastated.
Wow.
And then so I remembered though, I was at my daughter's school when this was all happening, and her kindergarten teacher had to leave because her grandma and uncle were trapped in the flood. So, and they were getting rescued with like a dump truck in town. And I was like, oh, that's it. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to put them on a house.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah. So that was The Flood. The original title for this book was The Flood.
Well, and it's a fascinating idea. I don't want to give away too much. Raven is a happily married mom. She has a great husband, as far as we can tell. He's not a huge character in the book, but he's certainly loving and supportive and worried about her.
Yes.
She has 2 children. One's a teenage boy who's got teenage attitude.
Yes.
And then she has a little girl, and they have a Chihuahua named Betty White.
Yes.
Which that's adorable. So they go off to rescue. The flood is coming. The family home is near, it was a river, right?
Yeah.
And they go off to retrieve, I guess, the stepmother, Joan, who's being very stubborn and doesn't want to leave her home, which we can all sympathize with, but it's my house and my stuff. I don't want to go somewhere and lose it, but lady, there's water coming, right?
Yes.
And then from there, the drama begins.
Yes.
And they find themselves sitting on the roof, hoping somebody's going to come get them, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also just stuff that goes on while they're on the roof, which is really where it starts getting interesting. And you paced it so well because there are all these, I think they call them beats for writers, right? There's beats in the story where something really dramatic happens and the water's coming up. So this is all dovetailing beautifully, and it just keeps the tension going, and it keeps you going, well, I can't go to bed now.
Right.
now the water's up to, the window frame, or the water's up to the gutters, or the water, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And now what's going to happen, and are they going to get out of there? So, I mean, warning folks, don't start this book at 10:30 at night and think at midnight you can just go night and you're done. No, read this on Saturday when you don't have to go to work. You're not going to put it down. Let me just tell you, it's not super long, but I mean, you're not going to put it down. How did you go? Well, first of all, with your scientific background, I'm guessing you didn't need a whole bunch of research about flooding and what water is going to do, because Raven has a scientific job. She's somebody who goes around testing water.
Yeah.
So that came from your own.
I probably gave myself a bit of a shortcut there because I actually worked in a lab that was the first job I had after. Yeah. So I just was like, okay, well, I'll give myself a break on that front. And when I knew lots of the water, I had already done all that water stuff before, and I was present for the floods. So I kind of knew that because the hard work was the the layering of the past. And
Right.
that took so way more. See, this is why I didn't get published before, because I hadn't actually dug deep enough. So this time I dug deep enough, and it took a lot of effort, but
I bet.
yeah.
So I don't want to spoil anything because we're here to get you new readers and to sell books. And I'm always very open about, I'm here to sell books, kids. I'm your free publicist. Use me.
Right.
Authors, hello, it's all free. I don't want to give away too much, but it is a very interesting psychological drama that plays out on that roof. And as a reader, for me, one of the interesting facts was that they were trapped with each other. There's no way to get away from each other except maybe a few feet down,
Yeah, you can go pelt by the chimney.
Yeah, right. But you're on the roof. It's a limited space, and if you jump down, you better swim. That's all and there's debris, and it's all dangerous down there. It's no good. So
Right.
they can't escape each other. And now, would you call them repressed memories? Is that the correct term?
Yeah.
Okay. And without spoiling too much, tell us a little bit about that drama and what you wanted to achieve with that.
I think I was trying to show a character that was, because I think I can say in the beginning of the book, like this character had been abandoned by her birth mother. That wasn't a surprise. And then so she had a stepmother. And this character wanted the love of a mother so badly that she was willing to accept what the stepmother was giving. And it kind of was a deep dive into that part of someone's psyche, like how badly you could want a mother, how important mothers are, for good or for bad.
Right.
Yeah. And I just like, could someone really want it that badly that their brain could overwrite the past?
Well, and it's not a spoiler because it's in the synopsis. She also had a sister.
Yes.
Who they lost.
Yes.
In circumstances that complicate things.
Yeah.
Let's just leave it at that.
Yes.
She had a father.
Yeah.
That was an interesting dynamic as well. And Raven has really, when the book opens, she seems like a well-adjusted, normal, happy, professional woman raising a couple kids with a good marriage.
Yeah.
And then, well, maybe not.
Right. That's what we want. We want everyone to think that she thinks she has it together too. So
right.
Yeah.
And well, she thinks she has it together.
Yes.
Which is very interesting.
And then she quickly realizes maybe not. So
when you were doing your research, because this is a fascinating, well, it's fascinating on many levels. And that's, I just love a book I can chew on. And this is, if you want a book with some depth, but it's also fast paced, there's action, you never get bored, but you can think about it. I mean, I remember walking away after I read it and I was still like churning, thinking about all this. Was it in your research, did something come up about the stress of being in a life or death situation? Does that trigger this kind of a reaction? Or, are there other cases on file where people find themselves in these kinds of circumstances and then all this stuff happens? Was there some real case you read about that helped inform this?
Yeah, I did do some research on PTSD and like what can trigger the reawakening of the trauma. And I don't remember a specific case, but because like when I started doing this was a couple of years ago. But I did do a bunch of research on like psychology. I can't remember what the big one is, Psychology Today, or I can't. Anyhow, some research into how that works and why it happens and how it can come back.
Now you said CPTSD. Does that mean childhood?
Complex PTSD.
Oh, complex. Now that's
Yeah.
a term I'm not familiar with.
Yeah. And yeah, so that, yeah, complex PTSD.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also a relationship study in
Yes.
many ways, because the relationship, let's just do it this way so we won't spoil anything. The relationships that Raven thought she had, she didn't really have.
Right.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because you have the mother-daughter relationship, but you also have the mother-stepdaughter, and stepmothers and mothers are very different roles.
Yes.
I know I did both. Being a stepmother's, that's challenging. Let me tell you, I could write a book about that, but I'm not going to. I don't even want to think about it. But it's a delicate path that you have to walk. That's not like when you have your own children.
Right.
It's hard on both sides. It can be very tough. Then you have a sister relationship, and these sisters were very close. I'm trying to remember. Raven was the older of the two, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So she had a very protective feeling toward her sister. But she was a normal kid too. And then you have the father-daughter relationship, which is a whole different ballgame. And then you have Raven now with her own children, so she's able to compare and contrast how she relates to her own children, and she's been observing Joan. And the thing that I thought was fascinating is you made Joan a very loving step-grandma.
Yes.
And so Raven felt really good because she steps up and provides childcare. And God knows we've all been there when it's like, I have to go to work if the kid is sick. Grandma,
Yeah.
She loves the kids and she loves taking care of them. But the kids have their own perspectives on things too. So you have a whole bunch of different layers of relationships and interactions that readers can just really dig into, which I found fascinating.
It's a miracle I managed it. Now that you're saying that like that.
Well, it's a beautifully written book, and I mean, it just flows. It never slows down. The pace is very steady, very even, and then it just starts ramping up. It's that, if there were a musical soundtrack with it, it would start getting that bump, 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 kind of the Jaws, how it speeds up because the shark gets closer. It's almost that kind of an effect. It starts like a train, chugging away until at the end it's just a race. Are they going to make it?
Right.
But it's just very well done. I loved it.
Thank you.
How long did it take you to actually write this, from when you got that initial idea to when you got through and you said, I have a manuscript and it's ready for someone to review? What was that time frame like?
I write pretty fast. But like the thing is, this book went through probably there was probably 10 drafts in total, 3 page 1 rewrites.
Wow.
Yeah. So like, I think it took a couple of years.
Well, because you had to take her out of the blizzard, right?
Yes, that was one of the big changes. And then I actually think the original blizzard idea happened. I had 2 different iterations of that were page 1 rewrites. And then once I figured out to put them on the roof, that everything has taken off since then. That was the right place. Everything was right. Finally.
Yeah.
So that was
new, right?
Yeah, that was quite far into the process. And then ever since I did that, everything has just clicked forward. I got the agent, I got the publisher, I got but yes, probably a couple of years.
Wow. That's a long time.
Yes.
That's, that shows perseverance and determination.
And in between drafts, I've written other books. So like in between some of those drafts of No Higher Ground, I wrote the next book that's coming out with Blackstone. So that was working. And then I wrote another one too. Anyhow, so because you don't just put the draft aside and then do nothing for a month. I do another one.
Sure.
And then go back. And then yeah.
So this is it now. You're a writer.
This is it.
You're going to stay on this path, and you're going to produce more books, and you found your calling. Excellent.
Yeah.
That's great. So
Thank you.
you kind of got ahead of me a little bit. You just said the next book with Blackstone.
Yes.
So tell us what's the next book and when's it coming out?
It is coming out next July, and it is in a different genre. So it is a book club book, and it is called Jean Mallory Needs a Win. And it's about a grumpy lady who finds her community within a group of pickleball players. Because I am a pickleball addict.
Are you really?
I am. I'm even an instructor. And I thought, who better to write? I just saw a hole. There was a hole in the market with this pickleball thing, right? Because it's exploded. And I'm like, okay, so who better to do this than me? So I wrote a pickleball book.
Oh, how funny. And how old are the women in the book?
Jean is 42, but then she plays with a range. This is how pickleball is. She has friends that are 30 in the club up to the guy she makes best friends with in the club is 80. So there's a whole, and this is like real life. Like this is, I play with people across. This is the beauty of pickleball, is that once you get competitive, it does kind of start to, but in the beginning, it's all genders, all ages. It doesn't matter.
I have never played pickleball.
It's be careful.
It's strenuous, right?
Yeah, you can. Oh, I've had tennis elbow for 3 years now. So
wow.
Yeah.
Isn't it kind of like racquetball?
Yeah. It's kind of like a mix of racquetball, tennis, and badminton, ping pong.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Because my club has racquetball courts.
Yes. I used to play racquetball in college a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're indoors, and I see those guys just. Whoa.
Yeah. I played squash, which isn't much different, but.
Okay. Yeah, and I walk by going, yeah, no, that's not for me.
I'm not athletic at all. I never did any sports in my entire life, so this was quite a shock.
How did you get into it?
I do love badminton, and my kids had started playing pickleball at school, and I'm like, first of all, that's the dumbest name I ever heard. And then I was like, what is this? And I found out it was a racket sport, and all these adults were going, and I was like, okay. So I dragged my husband, and it did not take very long.
So is he really into it now too?
No.
Oh, that didn't work, huh?
He goes because I make him go. I think it kind of came along. I was really struggling with the Blizzard book. And I had queried it and it failed, which was really heartbreaking because I thought it was the one. And I think I kind of got whisked into this pickleball thing as a distraction. But I still play though. Like, it's great fun. So.
Well, good. That's a great outlet. You can go work out plots while you're.
It is. And it's
right.
It's crazy good exercise. I don't care what all the tennis haters, they hate us, but it's great exercise.
Interesting. Isn't there a pickleball movie?
Yeah, I just know it was called did it have Ben Stiller? No.
There was somebody.
Like a Ben Stiller thing.
I thought it was a woman. I remember hearing something about it.
It just came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I don't remember
I can't remember who the star is. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that sounds interesting. So we'll look for that book next year.
Yes.
Now, another question I need to ask you because people always want to know, are you a plotter or a pantser or somewhere in between?
I have evolved. I was a pure pantser for years. And then I started realizing I had to do something a little different. So I'm a synopsiser. I'm a pitcher. I do the pitch and the synopsis first now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know where the story's going.
Yeah.
Do you know before you start writing how it's going to end?
Mostly. It does. Yeah. Obviously, things kind of go sideways a little bit in the middle because we love that. But yeah, I do mostly know the whole story before I start. So I guess in my mind, I'm maybe a plotter.
Well, I mean, if you have a basic outline, that's a plot, right?
Yes. Yeah, and the synopsis has everything in it. Like it has spoilers, everything. So,
Right.
and they're usually like 8,000-9,000 words.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at least that gives somebody an idea so they can decide if they're interested.
Yes, and I do
Yeah.
love doing I write the pitch first. That's the first thing I do now because I actually love writing pitches. So,
Well, and then you can get into the meat of the book, but at least if you have that basic core idea, right,
yes.
that can drive you.
And that the pitch is
Well,
kind of like the wow factor, right? So like if you can distill it down into 200-300 words like that, and then you kind of like know if you have something, and then you can
yeah,
expand from there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I can relate to it a bit. I mean, I was a legal writer.
Yeah.
I've never written, well, I tried to write fiction and I can't. So I just said, no, that's not for me. Um, but before I would sit down to write big briefs, I always knew what the arguments were going to be.
Right.
I didn't necessarily have them all outlined, but I knew how it's going to open, how it's going to close. Because you got to have a hook and you got to slam it at the end, right? You got to convince the
Yep.
judge or the justices. And I kind of knew how I was going to pace. Then I'd just sit down and start writing and have my
Yep.
legal research there and go
Yep.
to it. So I can kind of relate to how that would work. It's
Yeah,
similar.
one thing I learned that always stuck with me is like the beginning of a book, you make a promise to the reader, and by the end, you better deliver on that promise.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. A promise to the client.
Yep.
I'm going to sell this to the court and I better deliver or they're going to be mad at me, right?
Yep.
Can't promise, but it's a promise I'm going to try.
Right.
For lawyers. Well, that's interesting. Now you're still a big reader though, right?
Yes. I wish
Tell us what you
my TBR. I honestly wish I had more time. I read several hours a day, and my TBR is it's too long.
Do you see me turning this camera around to over there? No, you don't.
I don't even watch TV mostly because I just read.
That's very true. I have the TV on a lot, and it's usually on MSNBC. Well, no, now it's what is it now? MS Now.
Right.
A lot of times the volume is very low. I look up every once in a while. Is there anything breaking? Is it,
Yeah.
It's just kind of background
Yeah.
noise. But I found I watch TV a lot less than I used to too, because I just have so many books.
Yes.
And thank you, Blackstone.
For adding to your problem.
The boxes just show up sometimes. Sometimes they email and say, "Would you like a box?" I'm like, "Okay." And then sometimes they just all of a sudden UPS shows up and I go, "Oh dear, no. What have I done?" But I think we all have the same problem. So
yes.
I jokingly tell people I will not live long enough to read all of these books, but
no. That's no.
My kids
worse
can
problems in the world, I guess, to have.
right. My kids can inherit them and do what they want with them. So tell us what you've read lately that you would recommend.
I didn't plan this, but I always put my favorite reads up on my little shelf here. So my last two fantastic reads are right there. So,
okay.
I'm thinking of Ending Things by Ian Reid.
Oh, I've heard of that. Is it good?
It was. I finished it on Sunday, and I have still been I've started reading another book, and it's not hitting because I keep thinking about this book. It's
Hangover.
Crazy and wild and dark, and I loved it.
Wow. Wasn't that a movie too?
Yes, I think, they did. It says on the cover, it says Netflix. So
yeah, I think I saw it on Netflix, but I haven't watched it or read the book. So there we go. There's a great suggestion for me to add to my
and then
list.
So that's kind of like a psychological horror almost, I would say. Like it was pretty creepy, and I don't get creeped out that easily. But so that's kind of like, that's a bit of a darker read for some people. But then I read this Go as a River by Shelley Reed. Oh, it was beautiful. And it's like I guess it's historical, but kind of literary. It was, I loved it so much.
I'm embarrassed to say that's still on my Kindle.
That's okay.
I will be getting to it. But I've heard great things about it. I think it wasn't that picked by one of the celebrity, wasn't it like Jenna or somebody that had that book?
I'm not 100% sure because that book is it's a few years old. I'm not going to say it's a bad habit, but I tend to read books that are a couple years old. I'm not great on the new releases because I like to let things kind of marinate for a while. Like I have to think about it for a long time and see it for a long time. So like both these books are not new.
No.
Yeah. But like some of my favorite books that I've read this year are 15, 20 years old. So like I'm really behind the times sometimes.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I just read Never Let Me Go and like that book's 20 years old. I was so behind the times, but I loved it so much.
Excellent. So you finished these two. What's on your nightstand or your Kindle right now? Are you in the middle of reading something interesting?
I think I have Mad Mabel next.
Oh, Sally
that's a new
Hepworth.
one. I can do new books once in a while.
Yes, that's boy, she's gotten rave reviews for that one.
Yes.
It's
and
very
I just
popular.
finished the Calamity Club.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It was very long.
Catherine Stockwell.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Stockwell. Yeah. She hadn't written anything since
The Help.
The Help. This
Yes.
side note, interesting fact. I found out, I think that my narrator for the audiobook for No Higher Ground also narrated part of The Help.
Oh, really?
Yes. I didn't even know that.
Now, did you get to work on picking the narrator? Did you have a say in that?
Yes. This was such a cool story because when they sent me the samples, so I don't listen to audiobooks because I read. I read paperback books because I'm a terrible listener. You can ask my husband and my kids. But like when people start talking, I don't know if I have an auditory, I just start to kind of go. So I've never been able to listen to audiobooks.
You're a visual learner.
I'm visual. And it's unfortunate because like there's times I really could multitask and listen and do other things. But anyhow, so we were on holidays and we had to listen to the 4 samples Blackstone sent me of the narrators.
Yeah.
And so my husband listened with me and we both liked the same person. And so I emailed them back and I said, okay, I'd like to go with, and now I've completely blanked on her name. I'd like to go with her, and not knowing anything about audiobook narrators. I just liked her. I thought her voice was the best for Raven. And then never heard anything about it, never heard anything again. And then the book came out last week and my audiobook sales were quite high. High, I think relatively speaking to the paperback and the hardcover and Kindle, they were, I'm not sure if it's even or not because I don't have the numbers, but anyhow, and my husband started listening to the audiobook and he's like, oh, she's really good. Have you figured out who she is yet? And I'm like, so I went and looked her up and it was the narrator who did Kaya from Crawdads, which is like one of my favorite books.
I did listen to that book. She's very good. Yeah.
Cassandra Campbell is her name.
Yes, I listened to the Crawdads book.
And she did The Help, and I think she did The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I shouldn't say don't quote me if I'm wrong.
It's okay.
But she was by hands down like the most, probably the accomplished one in that. So it was very nice that was the person I picked going in like absolutely blind. And I've reached out, I've talked to her on Instagram now and she seems very sweet and she was very happy to do this book. So, and people are loving her. I've gotten so many compliments on the audiobook right now.
Oh, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of audiobook devotees.
There are.
They love audiobooks and that's how they read.
I know. And I should have known this. I feel kind of a little bit dumb that I'm kind of blind on the audiobook world, but it's just not my mode of reading. So,
I used to do audiobooks and I got into them because I was in the car so much.
Yes.
I was either on my way to my office, which was about a 45-minute drive each way, and I traveled on business.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I was up and out the door at 6 a.m. to get over to the Bay Area, traffic and whatnot, and arrive at my destination by 9. So it occurred to me, I'm wasting time. I could just be listening to books, right? So I started streaming them through Audible on my phone, but I had to train myself to listen because,
Yes.
like you, I'm a visual learner.
Right.
And the first few tries, I would just zone out. And then I'm like, what did he say? And I'd
I
have
know.
to go back and listen again because I realized I missed part of the story. So I really worked hard at teaching myself to be able to drive, pay attention to the road, and listen and engage in the story. But it took some effort. So I did that for, quite a few years. But for me, the problem was when they told us, I'll never forget it, it was Friday the 13th, March 13th of 2020, when they said, take your laptops, go home, we'll be in touch, be online Monday, right?
Right.
Um, because up until that it had been like, don't gather in each other's offices and
Right.
don't stare at them in the hallway and stand too close and gossip. This was when they said, oh no, everybody's going home and the world shut down, right?
Yeah.
And I started practicing law in this room and that was the end of it because my office never went back to the office. They're still fully telecommuting, but I was no longer in the car so much. And my problem is I read faster than the audio person speaks.
Right.
And I know people speed them up. Somebody said, oh, I listen to them at, 2 times the regular speed. But to me, they sound like chipmunks.
Right.
So I'm afraid I have not listened to a book in over 6 years. I just read them. And I understand that I enjoyed it when I did it because I could read 2 books at one time. I had one on my Kindle or a physical copy, and I had one going on audio, and it was great. It's just not something that I do now that I just hardly am in the car that much.
Well, I think that's part of the issue because I don't commute. So like I have my offices in my house. So my commute is getting up in the morning in my pajamas, grabbing coffee and getting to work. So
Yeah. The farthest I commute usually is about, 15 miles down the road to band rehearsal once a week. That's it. So,
I was on the road a lot in June with some kind of family issues. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna make myself get an audiobook and I'm gonna listen to it. And I can say I successfully listened to it. And I listened to 𝐕𝒂𝒕𝒉𝒐𝒓 by Susanna Clark. And it was really good.
well, see, you can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
I can.
And I'm sure I could too if I had a trip or something that I was going on. I'm sure I could, fire up a book and I could do it. It's just that I just haven't had an occasion everywhere that I've traveled except my son and I made, a number of trips to Pismo Beach, but my son was with me. He didn't want to listen to. So we usually spent our time in the car. It's about a 4.5, 5 hour drive. A few times while we were both working at home, we threw all of our stuff in the car and just went and worked in a oceanfront hotel suite to get out of the house and had food delivered because I was like, I got to get out of here before I go out of my absolute ever loving mind. And it didn't matter at that time. Nobody cared where I was as long as I was working. And I told my staff, you guys can do the same thing, go to Tahoe or go wherever, rent a cabin. And as long as you've got Wi-Fi, I don't care.
Right.
And so everybody was doing it, but, we haven't done that because the world opened back up and life went back to normal and I retired. So that was the end of it. But, so I'm reading the pages. The other thing, I don't know about you, but I hear the story in my head as I'm reading. And I didn't know until a few months ago that not everybody does that.
Yeah, I heard or seeing the story as you're reading, like you can picture it and stuff.
Yes, I can picture it, but I hear the words in my head as I'm reading them with my eyes.
Right. I'd have to pay attention.
And I put inflection into it.
Right.
So sometimes people would do the audiobook and I'd be like, I wouldn't have said it that way, but whatever. This way, it's my own little story in my head. You wrote it, but it's, because I've heard authors say, I wrote the book, but now it belongs to the readers.
Yes.
So, I have my own little version of Raven and Joan and all those people living in my head. So, it's reading is a very intimate experience, actually, when you stop and think about it. So, anyway, well, this has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad to hear that you've got another book coming out. Hello, Blackstone. You know my address. Send the box.
It's quite different, so it'll be interesting to see what the reaction is.
That's okay. I like different.
Yeah.
I read a lot of different genres, and then most people do, and I'm sure nobody wants to read the same story again. I mean, this was a great
That's why.
book, but
That's
unless you have
exactly
a
why.
sequel, and but I said unless you have a sequel and there's more to tell us about Raven and these folks, but spoiler
No,
alert,
no,
I don't think there's more story there, but
I
you
don't
would know
think.
better.
I think that story is pretty wrapped up.
We're not telling how though.
Right.
Do they get off the roof? I don't know. You have to read to find out.
Right.
Does the house float away? And is Betty the Chihuahua okay?
Right. That is a big concern for people.
Oh, when you put a dog in danger in a book or a cat, people lose their
People get
minds.
people get feral about that stuff.
Yes. I had some tense moments reading about Betty. That's all I'm gonna say.
I know. I have to. I
Um,
realize I name a lot of my animal characters after celebrities. I have to come up with something a little more like, I don't know, caramel or something.
no, I thought Betty White was a great.
You know why I picked that was. I'm pretty sure that was right around when she passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's a feisty little Chihuahua, and I mean, who was more feisty than Betty White? Nobody that I can think of, right? She was an icon, and so she has been. Uh, you've paid tribute to her beautifully, I think, because Betty White is a great character in this book.
She is.
She really is. She's an important character too. I mean,
Mhm.
there's another relationship. When we were talking about all the relationships in the book, I forgot to
Yeah.
mention Betty.
Yes.
Because of course
She's been
everybody
there for
has a
the long haul.
relationship with their
Yeah.
doggy.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um my dog was my soulmate. That's all I'm saying about it. Uh, that's why I don't have another dog. I just can't bring myself yet to get one.
Right.
But they are so important. They're part of our family. So everybody, there's a reason to read and see how Betty fares. All right. It's great to talk with you. Thank you so much for doing this. Everybody run out, get the book. It's very, very entertaining. And it's, like I said, it's tense, but it's well paced. It's just going to keep you, the pages will be flying. So sit down, curl up, pour a beverage, and get to know Raven and all the folks on the roof.
Right. And started in the morning.
Start in the morning when you're fresh.
Right.
All right. Thank you. And I should tell everybody before I go, I will be back on Monday, the 24th. I have an author chat with Ethan Joella, who is one of my favorite authors. He just writes the most beautiful books, and he agreed to chat with me, and I'm very excited about that. So, everybody, don't miss Ethan on Monday. All right. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.